Hey guys, I'm Joe and Angie's Chrysler 200. We're still swapping out all four engine mounts. There's going to be individual videos, but all four of them are going to be on there. I did the back one, that's the hard one. Then everything else is pretty easy, pretty straightforward, but we're going to go for the next, we're going for this front one. And it's going to be easier if we take off this overflow jug. I don't know how much is in it, but I'm going to just pinch off the hose. Looks like a screw here, or a bolt there, and a bolt there, and then we'll see if it comes off. But the first thing we want to do is support the engine, and the last thing you want to do is damage your engine or your oil pan. I just want to take a second to show you just how much you want to press on the oil pan. You want to go in the corner like that. You don't want to go in the middle. I mean, I know it looks like that's a nice little launch pad, but you're going to crush the oil pan. So I'm going right in the corner. That's where the metal's the strongest. You can see a jack going up. Now watch the engine. It'll just bump. That's enough. That's all we're doing. We're going for support. We're not going for anything else. We're not trying to pick the engine up or anything. Right now we're just supporting it. So whenever we undo them screws, it has somewhere to go. It's going to just rest straight like it is now. You don't want to jack that up and try to move it, dent the oil pan, anything like that. It'll stay right there. All right, guys, and use wood if you can. I mean, you could use a brick. You could use wood, whatever you want. If your jack goes that high, you could use the actual jack corner. But I prefer putting wood in there. It's just easier than metal to metal. All right, I'm going to take off the overflow, and then we're going to get started on this one. Hey, this line, you can pinch it off with anything you got. Many ways of doing that. I just got these brake line locks. I'm going to put one of them on there because it does little fluid. If you have any in the overflow, it's going to come out when you take this off. So this will just kind of keep it in there. I need to get some slack. Use vice grips, or you could just take a little pan and empty it out in it. I mean, that's the original way, but I mean, these things are so light. I just clamp one on there and keep what's in there in there. It didn't already leak on the floor. But you're gonna, whenever you take that off, you're gonna have a little bit. It's not gonna come out of the hose so much as it's gonna want, or come out of the cap so much as it's gonna want to come out of the hose. That just keeps it from coming out. Alright guys, this is about the best view I could get you of it, but yeah, the car's jacked up and this is as high as the tripod goes, so I put a little bit of PB blaster on the back of this bolt and that bolt. You know, you always hope for the best. Sometimes them things spin, you don't know. The PB blaster's good on there. You can use an extension, deep well, shallow well, wrench if you have to. Whatever tools you have, just take this out. Yeah, he came out nice. That one did anyway. There goes that one. Okay, what else do we have in here, if anything? Okay. Let's pop that reservoir off and get it out of there. Now let's see, there's a ground strap going to the top of the engine mount, and that's a good place to clean that up. I mean, let me get the camera here and I'll show you. Anytime you're close to anything like that, I mean, this car did have a lot of problems like electrically running, but I think we got them sorted out. But every time you come around it, like your ground strap, especially when it looks that green, I mean, the best thing would do be put another strap on it, but right now we're going to clean it up. Hard to even tell how that comes off of there. Huh, this ought to be interesting. Never came across one like that, but We'll see. All right, guys. All right, what I just used a little pick. These are just tabs. This is a very, I mean, this better not be its block ground, but, you know, it's just a clip that goes over that peg, but you can see it needs cleaned up. And what I do on these, anything that got a clip like that, bend it flat with a pair of pliers before you push it back on, then it's going to catch a lot better. But, I mean, too bad there isn't a way I could take this over to the bolt, put a different end on it or something. Just don't like that chintzy ground. A lot of these cars have electrical problems. If there's something wrong with the ground, it sends the computers haywire. I was just watching a video with Eric O on South Main Auto. He has a lot of, or he had a couple Chevys, like Silverados, I believe. They go absolutely crazy. The ground that goes to the frame. Yeah, anytime you're under a car like this, got a good shot at it, do it. Yeah, cleaning up the ground here or there, that's going to save you some future trouble. All right, next I'm going to take off this line that goes to the power steering pump. I'm going to take off that little, the bolt, the retainer. I'm going to undo these two nuts, and I believe I'm going to have to take off these three, which no problem, you got a good straight shot. But I'm going to take these two off and then undo the bottom, this bolt and the bolt on the other side, and jack the engine up a little bit. Maybe the mount could slip in the bottom like this. They go in like that under it, but these bolts might get in the way. We don't know. And they give you some new nuts on them too. Make sure you take these off. These are the nuts you're going to want to see right there. Don't leave them on there and put the engine down on them. This kit so far, it looks like, you know, exact matches so far. What are they, anchors? I mean, they're pretty good. I've used a couple in the past. This is the first time I got a whole set for an engine, so we'll see if all four of them fit. And I'm going to undo them bolts, and then we're going to see if we can get it under, guys. Hey guys, I got all the bolts undone. The top ones were all 13, and then the bottom ones down here that hold the mount on, they were 15 millimeter. Now what I'm going to try to do, I'm going to just jack up the engine, see how much play we got in it, and see if the mount could come out. I'm going to jack it up real slow. Is it possible? If you feel a lot of resistance, stop. But I mean, this looks like it'll work. Yes, it will. Pretty slick. A lot of them you have to take off the top part of the mount too, but some don't look as tore up as the other ones, but you can see here it's ripped up pretty good. Just dry rotted and a couple tears in it. As bad as the other mounts were, this one's been taking all the twisting. All right, get the new one slotted under just like that. Pretty neat. Okay, with the engine still jacked up, I'm going to try to slide the new one in with one hand here. Just gotta twist it and jiggle a little bit. Going in this way, twisting it. The other one slid right out. It's never a straight shot, but it came out easier than this one once again. There we go. Now, does this engine have one more tiny pump to come up? There we go. Just watch your hands when you're in here too. That's make sure you got a good jack or something you could trust. You know, they are your fingers. Oh, she's lined up there, but come on, guy. There we go. As soon as you get them in there, you got all the play you need. Oh, I did exactly what I told you not to do. Left the nuts on the engine mount. It's not the end of the world. You spin them off. I don't even have to take it back out to fight it, but you know, make sure. Because I mean, even in this video, I said make sure you take these off. I should have taken them off right then and put them somewhere, but it's kind of not deceiving. But you do have the old bolts that come off, and you wonder why they're giving you 2 new ones here. So yeah, just make sure you're good enough at these. You've got both nuts off. Okay, both the nuts are off. Now we can push it up in there. Alright, it'll be too hard to one-hand this, but what I'm going to do is put the nuts on there, and then we're going to line it up, let the engine down a little bit, and put the bolts back into the subframe. Alright, I'll be back. Oh, one's actually staying there. Yes, it looks like I can do it one-handed. All right, I'm going to grab the ratchet, tighten them up, and then we're going to put them bolts in. I'm going to actually leave these a little bit loose. I'm going to put them down to where they can't pop off. But you don't want to tighten everything up. You want a little bit of slop while you got it on the jack. It'll really help line these up down here at the bottom. Right there is the hole we're going for. We could see the hole, so we don't want to, you know, tighten them down, make it go to a weird angle that we're going to have trouble with. All right, let me grab them bolts and get it back together. All right, got one bolt just sitting down there, and I put Loctite on them before I put them in. That's enough Loctite. You don't have to cover these bolts in it. You could get it in the packet if you don't want to get the whole tube, but I use it so much I just get about a tube down Napa. Lasts you a long time. Makes you do the job right and gives you a little bit of confidence. Okay, just let the engine down slightly. I think it's still up. It's still got some support that we can move around a little. See how the bracket moves? Now I'm going to put that bolt in a little. I'm going to hit the back one, and then I'm going to tighten this one down a little bit. Once we got them both in there, I'm going to tighten these ones first, the big ones, then I'm going to tighten the nuts on top after I let the engine down. But tighten the ones that go up against the frame first, then let the engine down, then tighten these. You could torque them, or if you know, give them as much torque as you like. Okay, but don't break them. Definitely don't break them. But if you're going to test your own ratchet, make sure you know, you got them tight enough. You don't have to over tighten them, but this engine got to stay still. Okay, the back one, whenever I put the bolt in, that one's a little bit hard to get to with your fingers. I just used the magnet on the tip to drop the bolt in there to the hole, like kind of like that, and then got it, you know, push the magnet off. And then I put a pry bar right here up against the frame. Give the back with a little nudge if you need to. Make sure you don't hit these wires or crush them, but you could get a pry bar, a screwdriver, or anything, and push either forward or backward if you have to adjust to find the holes. All right, guys, I'm gonna tighten them down and then we're gonna let it down. Yeah, tighten them down to 3/8, but I always give them this isn't a torque wrench, this is just ratchet. I'm still using them Quinn super shallow wells. I mean, I like them sockets, but it's easy to get in with an extension like that, give it your final tighten, and then move on to the top bolts. Then this mount's done. I got 2 more on this car, and this one's very easy. It's a lot easier in the back one. If you're just there for this mount, it's a super simple job. Looked like I needed a 13 and a 15 millimeter, and then whatever kind of wrench you could get or a ratchet you could get. Extension makes it easier. Didn't need the flex head, but everything, I don't need them shallow wells. You could put any kind of socket in there, any kind of extension. I mean, there's no special tools at all involved for this. Very easy job, guys. All right, see you on the next mount. Anytime you got something like this, especially if it's a car you know you're going to be working on again, don't put all that grease back on there. See that clamp's holding it. It's still about half full with antifreeze. Just spray the hell out of it. You can use brake clean, whatever. I mean, this is Mean Green or that Awesome. Something from Dollar General. I want to get one of them pressure pots, you know, get brake clean by the gallon or something, but you know, this works pretty good. I'll hit that with a scrub brush, clean it up nice before I put it on. Put a little anti-seize in them bolts because they did come out. That's pretty rare if they come out without twisting, but we'll keep it that way. The bolts that hold this on. Sometimes them tabs, they just twist and, you know, you have to get another tab. All right, here's another one knocked out. 2 out of 4 down. For that one, 13 to 15 millimeters, all you're gonna need. And the jack and the good piece of wood, some way to support the engine like I showed you, but there it is all in. Cleaned up the reservoir, especially if it's on a car you're gonna be working on again. I mean, this is my neighbor's car, so I want him to be able to see that level. Because these engines, the worst nightmare is overheating. If you look on my shorts, there's one, a blown head gasket. It was on this exact same engine. Drove it about 10 miles once it went in limp mode. They thought it had something to do with the throttle body, so they drove it out to me. And meanwhile, it was overheating the whole time. I mean, just one time, that's all you got. Blew so much pressure in there, it blew this T off. I mean, Chrysler really, they could have did something better here. This T actually exploded, the piece of plastic, and the radiator was, the fan was just sucking water out of the radiator. One squeeze with using the liquid to check for head gasket leak. Usually you pump them a couple times, first squeeze to change color. I mean, these engines, I would not overheat. They got some kind of weird system with 2 thermostats. I replaced a couple of them. Joe had this one replaced, and the first one I did, it does not come with a seal that goes to the pipe in the back behind it where you put this on. So, and you look at the seal, looks good, you grease it up, you put it together, it leaks. It leaked on me one time. Every one I did since, I replace that seal when I do it. It doesn't come with there's a block with 2 thermostats in it. Now we're getting into something else, but if you got one of these cars, it's worth mentioning. This block down here, there's a hose that goes in the back, and the back of this goes into a pipe. And there's just a ring on the pipe, a O-ring. And, you know, it'll look good enough that you're going to want to try to replace it, but these things leak. It's a bad design, so keep an eye on it. Joe watches his antifreeze every day and his oil. I mean, that's all you got to do. The engine that blew, the one on my shorts with the bad head gasket, it had, I think, 60 or 70,000 miles on it. And the lady, it was in a Dodge Avenger, and she was actually still paying on the car, and it blew like that. So be very careful with these engines. They're, you know, if you overheat them, they're done. Joe watches that on the antifreeze and the oil, and this thing got 160, 170,000 miles on it. $100,000 or 100,000, yeah, dollars. I wish he had 100 grand under there, but yeah, 100,000 miles more than one that they just didn't watch the antifreeze. I mean, when that engine light comes on, it looks like a throttle body. They looked it up on Google. They thought it had something to do with the throttle body, and 5 miles it popped the engine. But be careful with that, guys. There's nothing I could really do with that clip. I mean, I could put another end on it and put it on there, but that's not what we're here for. So I cleaned it up real good, sprayed it with a little bit of battery protector, and made sure it's very tight. I don't think that's main ground. I'm going to look around before I'm done with this, and you know, make sure that that's not the main ground. There's no way that could be the main engine ground. But if you clean up all your grounds, it's kind of a free way of possibly getting rid of some problems. Your computer has to have a good ground. If you're getting any voltage on the ground, anything like that, I mean, you're going to have to do it anyways. If it happens to be right in front of you while you're doing a mount, like, I mean, these I'm going to clean up. You don't want no electrical problems. All right, guys, we'll be back for the third one.